It's kind of a homework, for your catchers and learning their position. Knowing the pitchers, okay, what do the pitchers throw? What's their get-ahead pitch? What's their go-to? What do you like to see? What's the pattern that you're trying to avoid? What's the pattern we're looking for to do? Being a psychologist to a degree, I spend more time in the psychology area of coaching than I do from a skill standpoint. Catchers have to do the same thing. A lot of times, if you have a really good catcher, they'll be a great psychologist and be able to pull a pitcher through some tough times because sometimes they get tired of hearing us yell back and forth. Get the ball across the plate, coach strike. All right, so things that we generally say a lot of times. But anyway, the catcher can help work through that. Umpires, a basic understanding of their mechanics are critical, especially the home plate umpire. Okay? One of the things that I don't think we see enough, and I'm trying to think, I think I was watching the Big East Championship game from last year. It was Louisville, Notre Dame. I have a bunch of games on there, and I was just looking at Notre Dame and Louisville coming back into our league in the ACC, and I was kind of going back and watching that game, and one of the times the catcher comes up, she comes straight up, and the umpire, who should not have been there, she turns to get a pop-up, and the umpire's right there in her face. Okay, so what could she have done? Maybe not much of anything, but what should have happened? The umpire should have had enough sense to clear back and away instead of going back into where the catcher's going to be trying to stay out of her way. So what we talk about, for example, is knowing the mechanics of where she's supposed to be. That umpire, as far as being in the slot, with the batter here, the catcher here, they're going to be in the slot, is be able to understand what their mechanics are and where they're going to be when the ball goes up. That way, instead of running right into them, if you have to pause, we always teach, we actually put a blocking dummy, not because they're going to take it and hammer the umpire unless they're doing a bad job. But we're going to teach them catch and clears, where they actually wide as they're taking their mask off and feel that catcher getting around behind them. I'm fine with the catcher who our umpire, that actually pushes their hand out and kind of, you get a feel for where they are. So a lot of times they'll just kind of let you know you're there, and that doesn't bother me. And actually, I like to know where they are because they're not always going to set up where they're supposed to. So that being the case, teaching catcher players, understanding the mechanics of umpires and getting that done. Getting on their good side and keeping them involved, I think that's huge. The really good catchers, and especially, I hate to say it, it may sound like I'm being kind of a gender or politically incorrect thing, but a lot of times girls catchers, they can sweeten up these guys that are umpires sometimes. Go for it, I tell them. I say, sweeten them up, let's get a strikeout out there. Do that. I like it. Okay, I do have a 4 years back. Let's not have it on here, I don't think. Okay, so anyway, situation, 4 years effects. Know the game. Become a student of the game. Take charge and give solid directions as a coach on the field. Boy, she saved me a lot of time and effort. She was awesome. I haven't had a catcher since or before her. Well, I actually had one before her that was very similar that knew the game, and I didn't have to worry about it. And actually, even Kelsey Hoffman was pretty good at it. Wasn't quite what Amy was, but pretty close. She was the one that caught Angela Tincher back in 2008 to win the World Series. But the one we have right now, very solid kid, skill-wise. But sometimes we're still, even as a senior, we're still kind of having to remind the game a little bit. So the more that I don't have to do that, the more that they can take charge and have that 4 years effect is obviously a bonus. Becoming a student of the game certainly helps you as a field general. Game timing, keeping the pitchers in good rhythm and a good pace. Okay, and the pace needs to be each individual pitcher. One of the things that we deal with in our game right now, especially at the Division I level, is timing of the game. Okay, keeping things moving, A lot of that, to be honest with you, goes back to TV, and it's being dictated by ESPN. And I say that because it does have trickle-down effect. Okay, you may not be able to be on ESPN anytime soon, or you may, depending on what level you're playing. I know, Bruce was just up here. He was just talking about his 1800 program. I know I just saw him on I can't remember if it's ASA Gold or PGF or whatever. They were on a national broadcast. And you know, so you never know when you're going to get that opportunity. They enjoy putting softball on the television. A lot more high school stuff's going on television. Maybe it'll just be something local. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to speed up things, trying to stay in a 2-hour time frame. Okay, so that you're going to see that a little bit. And it takes the pitchers have to have consistent timing-wise, because you don't want to have them, in our case, I don't want to have the week before be playing North Carolina or whatever we're playing, and then all of a sudden have to be a different pace when we're playing Florida State in a big game the next weekend. Okay, so we've got to stay consistent with that. It should help to keep the pitchers on pace. It should help them do their job better. Obviously, it has a lot to do with team tempo and how we use timeouts as well. Okay, and not taking too many timeouts. Make sure the timeouts we take are worthwhile, and we're just not stalling. Sometimes we want to stall the other team, but we don't want to overanalyze ourselves, and then all of a sudden we've paralyzed our own team. Okay, by taking too many timeouts. I think a lot of coaches, there's a few coaches out there that, in my opinion, they take a timeout every single inning. It drives me crazy. Human rain delays, as I call them. And it just drives me crazy. They cannot have that much. And actually, I'm kind of glad they do it, because it seems like they never do any better when they're more timeouts they take. So. Having confidence behind the plate. That's another huge deal from a field general. You know, you're not going to, no general out there, Custer or whoever, was out there led without showing some confidence of what they were doing. That's the same thing with our catchers on the field. Leading by example, leading vocally. You cannot be lazy and be a catcher. You might as well forget it. Okay, I think, you know, there's the old standard of the fat kid. He can't move out, you know, out on the field, so we're going to stick him behind the plate. At our level, it's not, that's gone. Okay, there's too valuable. You have to be too quick. You have to be able to move too well in our game to be able to keep up. Lead vocally. Again, you can't be quiet back there. You've got to be able to give out, you know, how many outs, pitch counts, situations. Understand this and being able to say it correctly. Lead positively. Okay, again, so I talked about this a while ago. Let the coaches do that. Okay, there's no reason you guys should be, or myself, and if there's something I need to really come down on somebody, I'm going to be the one to do that and not the players. Okay, as much as I can. You're going to have a few players that can get away with it. A few.
5 minutes.
Not many, though. If a player or pitcher asks for your opinion, do it honestly and positively. Okay, make sure everything that they're doing is, again, it's on the positive side of things, and they've got to be able, because a lot of times they'll come to the catcher and say, what do you think? You got to be able to answer that in a positive manner and make sure it's correct. And then the catcher actually has to come back to you to make sure that we're saying things the right way. You need to motivate the tough man to do so one-on-one. Let the coaches handle a tough situation. Again, I always tell my leaders, if you've got something to say and it's going to be a little bit awkward, pull them to the side. Pull them to the side. It's a senior even, it's a leader. It's like, if you got something you want to tell them, okay, it's something you need to handle, take them to the side, wait till after practice, do it to the side, or pull them to the side between in the game to the other end of the dugout and say what you got to say. So there's got to be that trust developed between the coach and the catcher, and that's something I always strive to create, because I need them on the field to get the job done. Handling the pitchers, build your position. That's the biggest thing. Catch the ball. Goes back to what we were saying earlier. Don't drop third strikes. Okay? If we get them out, let's get them out. Okay? The more we drop the balls, the less confidence everybody's going to have. Keep the ball in front at all times. Studying the game. We talked about this a little bit more. I'm trying to rush through this, guys. Sorry, I got 3 minutes here. I can talk all morning about catching if I really took my time. Communicate with the pitcher. Learn what to say and when to say it. That goes back to the psychologist part of it. Okay, you got to know that pitcher. Okay, learn their quirks. Read their situation. Read the body language. Okay, each catcher is pretty good at that by the time you get through the end of the year, or a few, hopefully within a couple weeks.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. You know what pitches she throws, understand what she throws, what's her favorite pitch, get ahead with about that. What's your finished pitch? What's your best pitch? Remember, everybody, you have to get a head pitch, and what she thinks her favorite pitch is not always her best pitch. So we got to know that too. And that's a catcher-coach communication. Psychology, as again we talked about, tough versus carrying versus information. You got to get those things taken care of. Let the pitchers handle the tough again. I think it's really a big deal as far as just letting things know. Handle the time. I think I'm going to get to the umpires really quickly here, and I'm thinking I'm done. Communicate positively with the umpire. Okay, we don't need a friend. Again, sweet talk them into a strike. That's fine. Out, whatever it takes. I like it. I even had a catcher one time, and she actually was Jennifer McKibben. If you heard of her, man, Jennifer McKibben. She's a junior college assistant coach now at Tallahassee Community College. Tremendous coach, great teacher of the game. She wore bright red lipstick. It would stay on the inside of her mask. And I mean, she could sweet talk any umpire in the country. It was awesome. So we let her do that. Understanding that umpire mechanics, again, the slot that we talked about earlier. I was trying to get through these things a little bit. We talked about umpire clears and making sure we're giving a good view to that umpire so they can see the plate to make the call. A lot of information to try to get through, and again, I do the same thing in the whole morning, a 3-hour session of just kind of teaching these types of things to our catchers when we have our clinics. Any questions? I mean, this is obviously just a field general type of topic. We're not talking mechanics. If you got a question before she kicks me off stage. Anything?
No, okay.
Yes.
The psychology of the catcher, I know you said that usually somebody who's moving around, somebody who's active, somebody who wants to be there. On the younger levels, you're sometimes you have to use the best available person to get behind the plate. She may not be the biggest hustler, she may not be the fastest player on the team, she may be a little bit lazy.
Yeah.
How do you get into her head and explain to her?
Well, I think the key is everybody's got to understand it, and it's dealing with, you got to take what you get at the younger levels, and I'm a 12 and under coach, 12, my daughter's 11. And the key is trying to develop it so they can understand. They're not going to be great at it.
That's time for our last session of the
Trying to get in their
afternoon.
head how important it is.
Now we're breaking for dinner. Okay.